Okay, let me do a quick check-in with chapter 12, the Minister's Vigil of the Scarlet Letter, which I'm only halfway through because I'm reading this in chunks out loud, and I don't need to do 25 minutes today. It would kill me. But I just wanted to check in because I'd been suspicious that no, the Reverend Mr. Dimmesdale can't be the one who had the affair with Hester Prynne that produced Pearl. But we are now getting a scene of the minister after getting pressured by the leech, Roger Chillingworth, the in disguise actual husband of Hester Prynne, assumed dead at the bottom of the ocean. After being pestered by and kind of like, come on, give up your secret, give up your secret. You've obviously got something that's troubling you. Tell me, because he wants to ruin the man who has had an affair with his wife, and is indeed has been Roger Chillingworth is become twisted by this and turned kind of monstrous himself. After being pestered by this, he goes out for a walk, and where does he go? He goes to the shaming platform and stands there and lets out a scream, which he thinks, okay, that everyone's going to wake up, everyone's going to come, and the truth will come out. But no, everyone doesn't wake up. Indeed, the only two people who do are the governor, who kind of looks out but can't see anything, and his sister, his sour-visaged sister, Mistress Hibbins, who looks up into the sky, because the narrator seems to take it for granted that there are actually witches, and that the witches are riding with Satan in the sky above, cackling and laughing and all that, and that's what's making the noise. And indeed, when he kind of he imagines, like, when he can't, like, no one comes, but he feels like frozen to the spot. It's like, oh, they'll discover me here in the morning and they'll call everybody, and the people will be upset because they didn't get a great sleep. And Mistress Hibbins will be grumpy because she'll have twigs still on her dress from being out in the forest communing with the dark man. So it's interesting that this definitely is a world that has Satan and witches in it in the literal sense, and the narrator of this, the Hawthorne who narrates this, seems to believe this in a literal sense, that these are the witches that will be executed, and for a good reason, because they've been communing with the demon. This is very I have trouble Hawthorne has a very dramatic, gothic, romantic way of talking, and everything is kind of at a very kind of slow, stately pace. I can't imagine why you would have school children study this. This is like antithetical, I would think, to trying to get kids interested in reading. This is the kind of stuff that would turn them off. But for me, who is like raised on pulps, which strangely there's a kind of a pulp writing which is definitely its heir to a lot of what I would say is kind of romantic writing, that became romantic, no, kind of romantic gothic, kind of that stuff, which is trickled down to kind of modern genre, and definitely pulp genre of the 50s and kind of the 40s and 50s, which I kind of cut my teeth on. I'm really enjoying it. But yes, he's on this platform, and there's a scene of his friend, the Reverend Wilson, going by, and he thinks about calling out, and he envisages a whole speech, but he doesn't say anything. And he's just, he's wrapped up in his coat. He's probably been at the bedside of a dying man, and he's just going by, and he goes by the platform with a lantern, just keeping careful eye on the muddy road, but he doesn't look up. So it's just like, it's all this really kind of good, really great scenes. And he ends up letting out a peal of laughter after his friend, the Reverend Wilson's gone, and is answered by a familiar answering peal of laughter. And who is it? It's Pearl. And it's Pearl and her mother, Hester Prynne, and he asks them to join them up on this platform. And he's like, and she says, and she asks him, will thou stand here with my mother and me tomorrow noontide? Inquired Pearl. So like, I don't know if they have just regular shaming sessions at the thing, or if that's like just a conceit of Pearl that like, oh, we stand here because I mean basically that's their existence now, is they're firmly welded to this shaming spot all of Pearl's life. And he says, no, I won't tomorrow, because as he's touched her hand, he's got this new flood of energy, of vitality, but that's also brought back all of his dread of public exposure that had so long been the anguish of his life, and does not want anything to do with that. And he says, no, I'll stand with you, but not tomorrow. And it's like, when? What other time? And he says, like, at Judgment Day is when he will actually stand with him. Then, therefore, then and there, before the judgment seat, thy mother and thou and I must stand together. But the daylight of this world shall not see our meeting. Pearl laughed again. So I guess that is actual confirmation that he got busy with Hester Prynne, and Pearl was the result. I think that seemed, it's interesting that this has been the point which we haven't gotten to, and I thought there was enough of a wiggle room that it was going to be his guilty conscience, and maybe it still will be, but it's really, really pointing to the fact that he is consumed with guilt because he's laid with Hester Prynne, and the result has been Pearl. Pearl, a bit of grit that then gets alabaster covered over it by the oyster, which is, she is definitely a bit of grit, poking at both her mother and her father, I guess it is. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this midway point in the Minister's Vigil in the Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. More videos later.